going into this series. They were 11-14 as far as their win-loss on the red side is concerned. So definitely not their best spot to play in. They can also fiddle around with a couple of these bans as we see the Tristana taken away.
Dynamic side selection. Only side selection before the night was that SKT chose blue. Afreecs had choice in game 2. They will also choose blue because you get to actually tailor your bans. Achilles, that's the big reward you get from playing on the blue side. You don't have to ban away the OPs that Afreecs was focused on in game 1. That was what they had to do. But here we already see Elise banned, so I'm interested to see what will pop through. Given that Zach finished the regular season 100% contested. The surprising one for me, Achilles, is that Elise was 99% contested in the LCK. Only 2 games did she go through picks and bans.
She's very closely following the Zach, but already SKT are changing things up. The Elise and the Rakan have been banned. That forces the Zach ban on the blue side.
Yeah, Rakan is a champion that Wolf shows no priority on, just a single game on the season, and it was a loss. The Alistar will be contested. The Thresh probably not contested by either. So they'll just ban away Rakan. Like you say, Afreecs have to scramble a little bit. This means one of Kalista, I almost said some hybrid of Kalista and Caitlyn there, but Caitlyn and Kalista will be left open. And we will see Caitlyn left open for the first time in a long time.
All right, do we see that one just taken by Kramer? I think the answer is going to be yes, as he's already got it hovered. And they will go ahead and lock this in. So what's going to be the answer here for the side of SKT? Caitlyn for Kramer with the Tristana taken off the board. Do they go for something like the Kalista? That just seems a bit too oppressive in lane.
It wasn't further Caitlyn nerfs on patch 7.15 that we're starting on in the LCK today. The 7.14 nerfs, of course, to a base attack speed are there.
A few more in 7.16, but not quite there yet. For now, though, it's going to be the Gragas locked in, and I would love to see the Nidalee here from Peanut, but
he's been playing Kayn in solo queue as well, but this would be cementing the Gragas as a top laner super early, so no rush in picking the jungler. Wasn't going to get hyped about that one, Achilles. We've played into those traps before, and you know, the laning matchup isn't a beautiful one. There are ways to take down a Caitlyn, and let's see if SKT have engineered some early hijinks to shut down the Caitlyn's relentless pushing.
All right, well, for now, keeping it a mystery as to where that Gragas is going to be going, but already, given that we saw Peanut on that in game number 1, seems like that's going to be the likely setup for them.
Wonder if we're going to see some misdirection from Afreecs as well. Was going to go for Sejuani, but we will see the Thresh. Very interesting. Tucson on the season is actually 0-4. No wins on Thresh, even though his mechanics have been very good in summer season. Tucson has probably been our most improved support player, even if recently he's had a couple of facepalm moments. He's largely been very good, but not on Thresh. So seeing Thresh here, Caitlyn Thresh, about as much laning power as you could really pack in and also have engage from support. And they will stick with the Sejuani as the primary plan. No flex picks here for Afreecs. I thought we might see a Rumble. They would have been happy to flex into the jungle, but not to be.
Nope. And it will be the Cassiopeia coming through here for Faker. Just to beg the question, yeah, the Orianna will get banned away. I was about to say that's going to be the favored one there for Kuro. Didn't have a spectacular game in game 1. Got the first blood and then was just kind of farming from there.
It was his first loss on Orianna this season and didn't really have much gameplay to speak about. Like you say, the shockwaves are almost completely absent in game 1. Alistar banned away on the side of Afreecs, trying to provide some coverage for the Thresh. Will we double ban? You just ban Talia here if you're SKT. Corki's been a common pick as well, and they're going to be happy enough to take the Corki matchup given that Cassio wins that matchup pretty much straight up. They're not expecting the Lucian to come out, so it just will be the Talia ban. That's been a Kuro staple for a while.
That one off the board. We'll see what is going to follow up with the Alistar. Do they continue to target out Wolf, or do they turn their eyes elsewhere?
I mean, Afreecs have wholesale thrown out the game 1 plan. There will not be a Relic Shield onto Caitlyn this game. There's no incentive to pile gold onto a Thresh, so it's going to be a very different game. The man I'm looking to step up is going to be Kuro, who was the double MVP when these two teams faced. It's insta-lock of the Blitzcrank. Here we go.
Okay. Blitzcrank coming through for Wolf. This just got interesting as we have the Ballista comp assembled for SK Telecom.
Some Ballista hijinks will be exciting, Achilles, and maybe it'll be Syndra. Never been a big Kuro pick. Last time was in meta last year. Wasn't big for him. This season, he's 1-0 on the Syndra. Can have pressure on the Cassio. And is that going to be
Yeah.
a Cho'Gath top for Maren? We're seeing new stuff left, right, and center on both sides.
All right, I mean, backs against the wall right now for Afreecs.
Wolf is one of our more common Blitzcrank players. He's played 12 games of Blitzcrank in his career, 7-5. Gorilla played his first ever competitive Blitzcrank game, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Seeing Wolf return to it after a long hiatus. Top
And
lane
there we
choice
go.
here, and it's just going to be the Trundle into what they expect to be the top lane Cho'Gath. Not like Sejuani will be anything different.
Yeah, Subjugate's going to come through, and they are just going to get pummeled, especially if that Kalista can get ahead.
But if you think about this, Killers, there is a bit of an element of risk here because they're running a top lane Trundle into a Cho'Gath, set up to succeed in the 1v1, and yet they gave over Caitlyn, a champion that basically crushes every 2v2. So the big question mark for SKT's draft is how do you manage a losing 2v2 bot lane? You see Blitzcrank, you see Kalista, you see a Gragas. It's going to have to be pretty heavy focus, you'd imagine, from Peanut around the bot side, because that's the only part where their draft comes apart. They don't want to involve the top laners. They want to find a way to actually survive through what is the most harass-heavy bot lane possible.
I mean, you land that hook into the knockup, and Gragas is nearby. That should be a pretty dead Caitlyn, especially if you're blocking the Dark Passage from Tusin's Thresh. But SK Telecom, I mean, they feel confident in this one. We saw the insta-lock on that Blitzcrank, so this is something that they had prepared. They were ready to bring this one out. Now we get to see it in Game 2, and this could just be the finish here for the Freecs in this playoff run.
SKT rolling the dice. It was all about Afreecs rolling the dice with their 80 carry taking a support item in Game 1. Game 2, they leave open the Caitlyn. That's been a fatal flaw for teams previously.
All right, well, this is going to be a bit questionable. We'll see how SKT can handle this and if they can go ahead and close it out right here and punch their ticket to face against Samsung on Tuesday. Let's get on to the rift for game number 2 of Freecs versus SKT. Freecs fans still hanging in there. They want to see that game number 3.
Studio here was quite empty, you could see, as people were still coming in 15 minutes before Picks and Bans went live. We are now completely full at the Sungam East Stadium, two of the most popular teams in Korea with all the legends on the side of Afreecs. But that legendary status only really matters if they can push forward from here, and 5-man stack from SKT.
Hunting from Maren, but they're not going to be able to find him. Instead, can get some wards thrown down around that top side of the jungle to at least keep track of Spirit for a little while.
Both teams grouped as 5, so there's only going to be wards in a single quadrant. You have to invade somewhere because there isn't much defensive vision to speak of. This could actually force vertical jungling, depending on where the wards go down. Freecs trying to just re-invade to their red side. Let's see if this ends up with there being the vertical jungling, which would leave SKT strong on the top side and Afreecs strong on the bot side, or whether the teams will just try to play with incomplete information.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
Spirit doesn't have a jungle item. That's a big, big problem.
He doesn't have any items, except for he bought the he bought his ward.
No. You get the ward when you leave the base, even if you don't buy it. So he forgot
right.
items. That's real bad.
Well, good thing he got a decent leash, but yeah, he's realizing that he made a mistake.
So what happened here? The reason why this happened is that the moment he left the base and realized he didn't have a jungle item, he couldn't go back because they needed to be grouped as 5 to respect the Blitzcrank. Yeah. So he actually couldn't go back, and then he was only ever going to get a leash if he actually got the leash at the right time, around the 1:40. So the moment he made the first mistake, he was basically screwed. Took one camp, goes back, and he's going to be significant delayed against already a stronger skirmishing jungler in the Gragas.
I love Ooze in the back room, and he's like, oh, I should put Mowgli in.
He loses experience as well, because you get experience from your jungle items. This is not a trivial thing.
Yeah.
There is catch-up experience that people have talked about quite a bit. It's bot lane, a little bit of harass goes onto Wolf.
Takes a bit of damage, but able to trade back there onto Tusin with the Rend.
Oh, Spirit. He's certainly had some moments recently that kind of beggar belief. We don't often see the double buff donations in the top lane, and now not having a jungle item. Tora will spot him out on the bot side, but Peanut, we mentioned the problems around bot lane. This is the one lane they were always going to gank.
Popping over the wall, flash in, looks for the hook, can't quite find it onto Kramer, but TuSin might be dead. The knock-up still coming through. Red Buff will slow him up the rend to come down, and one more hit would do it, but they hook him in, and Peanut, he's actually going to go down. First blood goes over to Afreecs. Kramer finds it, now firing away. Looking for a kill in onto Bang, won't be able to get it.
Oh, TuSin.
Dangerously close, but now Faker, he arrives. He's able to go ahead and scoop up the kill in onto the Thresh, but that got turned around on its head. Afreecs come up with the first blood.
So much action in the first roll there. Not going down was TuSin. A Stry Rune of armor or health may have been the difference. Able to hook Peanut into turret. We talked about the double buff donations. They go to the Caitlyn, of all things. Afreecs couldn't have wards. They had the missing call on the Cassiopeia, but she was already bot side. This time it was Faker making a visit bot lane. Last game it was Kuro. Madness in the early game, and it does shield Spirit for a couple of moments where the game was played around the Sejuani, who we already knew was behind, and he probably gets the biggest favor out of all that action happening, and his bot lane turning around what should have been first blood SKT.
Absolute insanity already in the first 4 minutes of this game.
If you just tried to describe to your friend what happened in Game 1 of this series in the first 5 minutes of Game 2, they wouldn't believe you, Achilles. It's been so much innovative stuff and just things going wrong. End result is still that SKT's in a comfortable spot, but Afreecs have the early gold lead, largely from the first blood.
Well, alrighty. Things are going to calm down now, as Peanut does get spotted out there by that ward, and that one as well. We'll be able to clear it, however.
First purchase now comes in for Kramer, but the first blood gets a very early Berserker Greed. It's been a core first item for Caitlyn for a long time to take advantage of the trading patterns, get that extra auto attack and potentially headshot in with the trades that she always wins thanks to her oppressive range.
Gonna have to be more careful, however, because without that flash, won't be able to get away from those hooks as easily. 90 caliber net, not exactly the thing you want to be relying on to get yourself out of range. In the meantime, Antara goes very aggressively up against Marin here. Gets quite a bit of damage in.
As I can tell from records, Marin's first ever game on Cho'Gath. He's always been famous for having a very small, effective champion pool. Lissandra back in the meta, absolutely a Marin champion, but the Cho'Gath, a new one for him unless he plays in China. Hook onto
Kramer.
Kramer.
Right around, but the Dark Passage is there. Bang can still get the rend damage through. Nice little juke out there by Wolf. And the land on the hook.
Something new for Marin, who's been debuting a few new ones recently. Gilios versus Trundle in Korea, showing us some new stuff recently. But Cho'Gath, strong wave clear, safe farming, was nerfed on patch 7.15, so doesn't have quite the same percentage HP damage or base damage on his Vorpal Spikes, but just looking to do pretty standard Cho'Gath things and be a frontline for the Caitlyn in the later game.
It's going to be difficult given the subjugate, especially if Faker can get rolling with his Cassiopeia. Will rip right through the Cho'Gath, no matter how tanky.
Can confirm first ever career game of Cho'Gath for Marin, so something new there as well.
What a time to debut it.
Well, he's never played Cho'Gath, he's never played Jace before today, and got one of them. Definitely can't complain too much about the innovation being shown.
I want to see the Marin Jace now. Let's go to game 3.
Hey, I don't think anyone would argue with another game. SKT fans would probably prefer not, but we want to see as many games as possible when we only have a best of 3 to play with.
No one will ever know to ban it away from him. It's the secret weapon.
He plays it in solo queue, but his win rate there isn't even that good, so people just aren't worried about the Marin Jace. Kuro is probably the Jace player on this team. So we think about what the formulation was, about how this game should play out in the early game. We mentioned SKT, everything looks great. Let's find a way to get over the hump that is Caitlyn's laning phase. They attempted to do that with the early Peanut gank. It failed, and it now still is a problem now that Summoners are back up. Spirit's been able to actually get ahead to level 6. The catch-up experience is a hell of a drug. Been able to get that, so he does have the ultimate available.
I mean, he's ahead of Peanut, so.
I know. That's the part where I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen.
Well, this is the world we live in.
All-inclusive world. Everyone gets a chance to get to level 6. Kuro will be happy that he hasn't had to use his summoners in mid lane at all. Just happy to have an extended laning phase, and Not many people can extend a CS advantage over Syndra, over a Cassiopeia, or over Faker in particular. Matchup's just fine for Syndra early without that jungle intervention. Peanut being dived, that's a nice hook.
Yeah, play comes out, Dark Passage, or the Death Sentence rather, not going to connect. Trading back in onto Tucson as Bang does take a couple shots there from Kramer.
Headshot nerfs, to reiterate, aren't live in patch 7.15. They are a 7.16 change. So the base attack speed being halved per level in patch 7.14 is the last Caitlyn patch note that's relevant for today. Mid lane.
The flash body slam in, pops. Throw to the side of the explosive cast, and he's just going to go down. Perfect miasma from Faker. Now trying to follow up. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, that's going to be Wolf. Looking for the pick here onto Tucson. Ignite ticking away, but will not find the kill. The Death Sentence will not connect. Spirit and Tucson will both be walking away with their lives, but Kuro cannot say the same.
Kuro was trying to bait in Faker because he was playing to a side where he didn't have vision while he has his jungler in position, but unfortunately for him, Peanut was already there. So playing to the safer side is what he needed to do. Didn't do that, and now Faker's going for a walk.
Yeah, he's roaming up here to the top side. Rupture will connect in onto Antara, but Miasma yet again thrown down. Martin does have the flash, but it's honestly not even worth it. He knows that he's going to be dead, so he will just fall as Faker claims his third kill of the game.
The flow-on effect of that kill in mid lane is now also that top lane gets ahead, and this is disaster for Afreecs after things went better than expected when they took down Peanut for first blood. The double buffs are off the Caitlyn. The lanes are now in their control. And Kuro trying to bait in, ended up getting baited himself, and that has really accelerated SKT's rise. And the moment that you give Trundle any free time, now that Chomp affects turrets again, the turret threat already starts.
No worse feeling than baiting yourself into getting killed.
And Faker out of nowhere is 3-0.
Yep.
He actually has all 3 kills in this game.
I mean, I almost forgot about the first kill in the bottom lane when he picked it up off Tucson. Just been so quiet since those first 4 minutes, but just like that, 2 more kills come through, and Faker is looking very deadly with this Cassiopeia. Perhaps the next SKT skin at the Worlds.
Everyone has to take risks. People will look at Kuro and say, why was he playing towards the weak side? They didn't have aggressive vision to know where Peanut was, but you can't play everything as safe as possible because we have teams in the LCK that will do that, and they lose, not taking any risks. SK Telecom, known as a safe team, do take decisive decisions where they don't have full information. You think back to MSI where they took Barons without a control ward. Game 1 where they took Baron without a control ward. Kuro rolled the dice at the wrong time, and sadly for Afreecs, they lost the maximum from that one risk.
Such a bad spot to be in now. Hook not going to connect there from Wolf. They were looking for a play in on the Tucson. Instead, just going to be an exchange of vision off the backside of that Cloud Drake take by SK Telecom. Ocean going to be the next one to follow up in about 5 minutes' time. And Tara, well, he's having a good time here with Marin. Chomp coming down, but doesn't want to dive under the turret. Hasn't built tanky at all on the Trundle yet. Just has the Vamp Scepter and the Tiamat.
Bramble Vest done for Marin, but nothing really else to speak of. Mid lane.
Jump in here onto Baker, but the Glacial Prison
gets
not
Kuro.
gonna connect. And now, yeah, he has the Petrifying Gaze thrown down onto Kuro. Stun will push back Faker. Keep him out of the fight, but Tara, he's pinching down.
The pillar.
Almost has that one ready to go in the meantime. The bottom side of the map, Bang is going to go down, but Peanut is able to find Kuro. So yet again, just bullying out the mid laner. SKT pick up a kill, but they do suffer a loss.
Yeah, we didn't get the full context on bot lane to know how Bang went down. But Tucson picking up the kill doesn't allow extra gold to Kramer. Only equal NCS with a Kalista, both of them strong in the laning phase, but Caitlyn's certainly stronger in the 1v1 sense. Peanut never used the cask, so he's fishing around mid, but Marin's here too.
Yeah, Faker going to get jumped on. Marin coming through, going to throw the Rupture the complete opposite way, but Faker will still get locked up. But the cask, as you say, not used by Peanut at all in that initial skirmish, does save his life at the end.
Yeah, peels away the Cho'Gath from numbing, so isn't able to actually get the ultimate in. Marin will have to teleport top as well, so teleport down there. The side of Afreecs. Nice roam timing from Marin. We're going to finally get a replay of what happened bot side.
Oh.
And Hook hitting after standing on a trap. Mistake from Bang. Open that up.
Straight into another one as well.
Zoned out for a moment, but it was a mistake from Bang that led to it. With all the action happening in mid lane, we missed out on that.
So, yeah, I mean, don't clear traps if you're an ADC, I guess is the moral of that story. Let the Blitzcrank do it.
Clearing traps is what Bang says if they win the game, as kind of a tongue-in-cheek moment. That was just a bit of a face plant from side of Bang.
I would love, if they do win this this series, I would love to hear about Faker's teleports and Bang stepping on the trap.
Well, I'd like to tell you a different story, and that's about what Faker has done with his item build. He's gone for an Abyssal Mask Rush. It's the first time we've seen it in Korea. Happens in other regions, the LCS regions, but we haven't seen it in Korea. The reason why he does it in this particular game is it's a snowball defensive item. He has it super fast because he already has 3 kills in the early game. And really the only way they lose out, given that they have such top lane control, with Trundle just being able to split push in the face of a Cho'Gath with no cost whatsoever, is that Afreeca's way to win is to stun lock the Cassiopeia in the mid lane and try to kill Faker multiple times. If you rush Abyssal Marks, that is so much harder to do with all the health and magic resist, and the damage fall off at 6 items is not there at 1 item, so he's perfectly happy with just a rushed Abyssal Marks.
Oh, they're going for the play in underneath the turret. Dark Passage to draw in Spirit, but Bang is already out of harm's way, has the Fate's Call, draws in Wolf, maybe looking for the re-engage, throws him to the side, the hook comes down, connects it onto Tucson, and he gets annihilated. Unleashed Power, but that one said Sejuani will come up with a kill for Spirit as Bang goes down yet again. In the meantime, going to be a bit of a scuffle here in the top lane, but Antara has that Blast Cone to go ahead and take himself over the wall. Single-digit HP, I'm pretty sure, but he does walk away in the end.
If we get able to take the turret in all of this, though, as the turret went on top, and actually missed who picked up the first brick, but end result was that if we could get the push in and clear some wards around the Ocean Drake, Caitlyn freed from the laning phase as well. Faker reacted, but wasn't able to get there fast enough. Doesn't have Ghost because he took the cleanses. Peanut.
Explosive Cast not going to connect, and well, that's a lot of damage down onto Peanut, so they have to go ahead and peel back as that stun comes through. So unable to answer for the Scuttle Crab and for the death of their comrade in the bottom lane.
Wonder what analysts will make of this particular series, Achilles. When you're trying to work out what to import to your playoff run as a North American or European team, even an LPL team, it's going to be hard to fully make understanding of what has been some smart plays, some innovation, some mistakes. Marin didn't have Feast up, it's worth noting, so you actually did use it, I apologize, was used mid-cast, and Antara lived with just a sprinkling of HP.
Oh. It's going to be frustrating. Nice little juke back there. Honestly, might have just been dumb luck by Undar to turn around at that exact moment.
Overstaying with low HP, but isn't taken down. Pushing the boundaries of what you can do when you rush just into the Ravenous Hydra. Very risky build path against a Cho'Gath. You might be priced into a Drum's Fist to get a bit of extra HP and not to be burst down by the Cho. But Cho himself hasn't gone for HP, so not the maximum damage Feast that we've seen before.
Play going to come through here onto Marin. We'll see if he can stay alive. He's trying to clear out the wave very rapidly, but Antara has arrived. Subjugate thrown down, and Marin is not long for this world. So the team is coming through to try to support him, or at least hold on to the turret. But whether or not they're going to arrive in time, we'll have to see. Antara going to be the one targeted out as the box does drop. Death Sentence not going to connect. He will surrender his life, so it's a 1-for-1, and they don't get the turret.
It's a 1-for-1. They had to respect the Spirit, still had the Glacial Prison available. So even though Fate's Call was used, they weren't going to make a serious attempt to overdive in the bot side. So 1-for-1 extended, and not getting the turret means that when it comes to resources, Afreeca probably do win out on that one. Mid lane we've talked about so little in this game, despite the fact that Kuro has gone down twice. Faker finally starting to add ability power to the 10% bonus magic damage he gets from his tank choice of the Abyssal Mask Rush. Maybe a second solo Drake for Faker.
Yeah, just go ahead and take this one away. I mean, we know how much he loves to kill the Elder Dragons by himself in the late game with this Cassiopeia pick, so why not start things off the Ocean? In the meantime, Peanut going to get caught. Unleashed Power will take him down, and Kuro just finds the solo kill catch on the Gragas.
Pings onto the Rift Herald as well. We all know about how pressure works in League of Legends. When you know your member is on a different part of the map where all your wards are, you can't face check, and Peanut made the fatal flaw. Didn't have Flash available. With Flash available, maybe you get a little bit frisky face checking. Did not have it. In that case, it's just a solo mistake from Peanut. Sort of thing that's been punished by other teams against him earlier in the season, and one of the reasons why a lot of SKT fans prefer Blank and his more measured style.
Well, Rift Herald will be taken here by Afreeca. Can use that to knock down another turret. Because, I mean, despite everything that happened early on where it seemed like SKT was surging out to a massive lead, it's still rather close. 1.3 thousand gold at the moment. So Afreeca are not out of this one yet.
Let's give you some insight into why SKT made such an over-aggressive dive in bot lane where it was likely to be a kill trade if Afreeca was able to react. if you get the bot lane turret down, end the laning phase for the Caitlyn, and actually get to play around the top side, that's SKT's priority. Post 20 minutes, they want to move all their vision control they've established in the bot side, top side, because they have Cassiopeia Callista for Baron speed and secure. So they very much want to play around the Baron, get control wards down, get a hook, and take down and rush down the Baron. They can't do that safely while the bot lane outer turret is still up.
Well, Marin winning out on that Gromp is able to take that one away. As we see a rotation into the mid lane from Kramer and Tucson. Tara going to get pinched on, it would seem. Goes on the pillar, however, so he will be able to make it out safely.
Well, it's a pinch. It's like a friend of yours or your sister giving a pinch, not any sort of real aggression, because there's no wards there for the side of Afreecs. It'd be lovely to unload onto the Trundle and take him down, but Afreecs doesn't have map control in the top side to chase a Trundle, which is a low percentage play at best, so a couple of love taps and backing away.
Yet again, just going to slow down the action. Move back over to farming. As we wait for some more objectives to come up here, we'll see where the Freecs want to direct that Rift Herald.
Lane turret always the gold standard for picking up a one turret take, which we don't often see the two turret takes with the Rift Herald that we were thinking about. Brain's working in overdrive preseason with the fact that Rift Herald has gone from the previous iteration where we never saw any sort of priority around the top side early objectives, but a lot more priority this season than any time previously in League of Legends history. Freecs actually making a very aggressive move. They put down a couple of wards. Just try to pilot this Caitlyn into an inner turret take.
Yeah, they have the trap line thrown down, so getting up into the face of that Caitlyn and trying to deny her that damage onto the turret is very difficult.
Lane assignment's good for SKT because Marin stacked armor and has basically no magic resist, but Cassiopeia has to back away the moment that Kuro leaves lane.
He's got a null magic mantle. Okay.
A lot of respect for Tucson.
That's a word for it. Okay. Well, that was Bang, just feeling the pressure. Not exactly spotting where the death sentence was going to go. Forces out the flash, so.
When is Marin going to put down this Rift Herald that he's had in his inventory quite a long time? He doesn't really want to use it in top side, but he recalls. I have to put it pretty shallow. I'm not actually sure how much longer the Rift Herald is going to be available for him.
I think it was those 2 kills that Bang has suffered in the bottom lane have kind of got him, shaken up a little bit.
It's always weird because obviously, with full hindsight, the hook was going to miss, so why would you flash, lol, Bang? You understand that, but when you're already winning, where your AD carry getting picked could lead to Cho'Gath nomming on a Baron or something like that, safety first is what the line he chose, and he looks silly for it, but you kind of understand with where the series is at why he did it.
Well, second turret here for Freecs will be claimed in the mid lane. Nicely done by them, and they just keep things within about 1,000 gold. SKT have not been able to stretch that lead they established very early on into this game.
Emergency Rift Herald usage is used by Cho'Gath literally in base.
Has to walk all the way up the lane. What a jerk. Didn't give it a lift.
At least he doesn't have a timeout function. It's all about the HP is the Rift Herald, so didn't get an Uber this timeout when it comes to being placed exactly where they wanted it to go. But Marin had to rush bot lane. Righteous Glory pops it, but Antara's going to take the turret for free.
Yeah. He's got the Ravenous Hydra. He's in a very nice spot as far as the damage is concerned. Tankiness leaves a bit to be desired. Has just the Spectre's Cowl and no single cloth armor. But Rift Herald should be knocking down this turret. Faker is there to try to stop this one. See how much he can do. And it turns out he does a lot.
Yep. That is a free-farmed and fed Cassiopeia, who had a lot of advance warning, Achilles, because the Rift Herald walked the longest possible route to the top side. Has the Merlinomicon to complement the early tankiness we spoke about at length with the Abyssal Mask.
There we go. Spirit Visage for Antara.
And This is one of those builds. We see it quite often, the Rod of Ages into... Oh, hold that thought.
Gonna get jumped on. That's gonna be the hook coming through, and he just gets deleted. Kramer finds his third kill of the game. 3-0-2 on the Caitlyn, now looking to knock down that inner and mid.
The overly defensive flash didn't go QSS a second item, went for the Zeal to do damage, and is taken down. Trying to power down the turret, teleport to confirm it.
Yeah, Death Sentence not going to connect here, but it seems like they will just be able to knock this one down. Marn TPing in for added protection here for the rest of his squad. And they'll just go ahead and claim that first inner turret of the game.
And a moment like that is where I will actually say, Bang, if you're going to flash defensively, you have to position defensively. So getting caught after using your flash so liberally is where you have to say, okay, mistake from Bang. They've lost significance on this. It goes back and buys the Hurricane. Still doesn't have QSS. And the ultimates are there. The chain CC there is there for Afreecs. Pick up their first Drake of the game.
But look at this, SKT. Not skipping a beat. There's
and
no
Afreecs
vision.
don't know yet.
They're just going to go ahead and try to duo this one out.
See a blue pings in the area. They now know.
Bang coming nearby.
They might be too late, though.
I mean, he's running into the mid lane. I don't think they suspect this one, but Peanut is going dangerously low, so this is still going to be risky.
They know it now. 2,700 health.
They'll be pushing forward. Less than 2,000. Can they get in there, though? The knockaway will come through. Spirit flashes way too late. They try to get the steal in the meantime. Bang, yet again, gets annihilated. Spirit will make it out with his life, but the remaining members of SKT now have the Baron.
Miasma positioning could never have been more important. He couldn't flash because he was grounded. Achilles couldn't actually get into the pit, so by the time he flashed, it looks comical. They lose the Baron, and really nice sneak from SKT after they lost Bang, who dies second gray screen in about 2 minutes.
That's what I'm laughing about. It's just poor Bang at this point. 1-4-2. On this Kalista. He shows back up. He's like, guys, I'm here to help. Immediately gets deleted.
He did his role. His role was
That's
distract Achilles. You know, he gets paid a nice salary. He's a double world champion. Maybe his scoreline won't be great this game, but if they win, he's still doing his role.
Well, SKT. Let's see how they can utilize this one as they do lose yet another turret.
Wolf's poking around here. They don't know he's in there. This is another one of those moments where Raptors respawned as he was looking for a hook. Marin's felt that before.
Just run away, Bang. Just get out of there.
Bang really wishes he went that QSS second item.
He's almost there. He's got the Null Magic Mantle. He's working his way.
It's been a struggle for Bang, but Baker's had another one of those games where someone gave him a personal basketball and he got to decide everything on his own. While it isn't the Rod of Ages, starting with the Abyssal Mask, and now having Morellonomicon, and also the completed Seraphs is basically tank Cassiopeia. A lot of CC to respect, but he pops the Cleanse, he pops the Overshield, already has significant health and magic resist. This is one team fight Cassiopeia. Happy to stay in the team fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's just solo knocking down that turret. It's dangerously low, and because of that pressure, draws them over. Hook coming down, connects in onto Spirit, and the Rend will not find the kill. It's actually going to be Wolf that comes up with it, so Bang really just can't catch a break. Rolls out the Fate's Call. Won't be throwing Wolf back forward, however.
Kramer's on defensive wave clear duty now, Achilles. He's not taking pot shots at inner turrets anymore. Trundle's going to return to the top side. This is exactly where SKT want to be. Baker doesn't have Ghosts, so he does have to poke around and get the Qs in.
Still going to be the Righteous Glory, but the Petrifying Gaze comes down into the Death Sentence, and Baker should be falling. It's a massive shield coming through from the Seraphs, but he will fall in the end.
Meanwhile, is the sub-story, though. Trundle will just take the turret in top side, so Baker goes down, ruins his KDA, but they still get the objective trade up to SK Telecom T1.
I mean, for every turret, a sacrifice, apparently, here. So just throw a kill, you'll get an objective. SKT now created a pretty significant gold lead here for themselves. Very much like we saw in Game 1, where it was neck and neck throughout. They were hovering around 800 to 1,000. Now going to be 3.3 ahead. So still not the position they'd like to be in. They want that number to be much larger, but they've finally been able to put these turrets onto the board.
The difference from Game 1 is that the gold lead was all in the Janna in Game 1, where it's a much more balanced gold distribution here.
That is
For
true.
Afreecs, they may be behind in gold, but they don't have one member really warping the statistic like Janna was in Game 1. Kramer has 3 items. Kramer is very, very powerful single target at the moment on the Caitlyn, but doesn't mean much when SKT just want to run them around the map. They're not rushing for team fights. They already got the Baron. That's off the map. Put Trundle on the top side and just try to play 4v4.
Blue buff looking to get taken away here. Spiker fires over the wall. just be taken out.
Freecs has so many control wards behind them. They want to play this as narrow as possible. Plot 5 traps into a lane, push up, try to remove the fact that Trundle has no worries whatsoever about a Cho'Gath. One item with just a Tiamat into Ravenous Hydra, there's kill pressure, but Randuin's is complete, Spirit Visage is complete, Trundle is immovable, and even the decent wave clear from the Cho'Gath isn't going to be enough to slow him down. Speaking of that, Trundle,
looking for Spirit, throws on the pillar, but they are there. You go ahead and pop it back, explosive gas into the hook, he tries to flash away, but the uppercut is there from the Blitzcrank. He takes quite a bit of damage, but Spirit will be able to get out with his life. Will not be able to assist the defense of this turret at the moment, as SKT looks to clear out the wave, but with Marin pinching in from below.
Hasn't been spotted yet, is Marin.
They will have to go ahead and start to peel back. They know that he's missing, so they know that he's somewhere in this vicinity.
Yeah, last known movements certainly available, but not exact positioning. Hook attempted onto the red buff, but is stolen away by the Syndra W.
Nicely timed there by Kuro. Snatches that one up. So SKT not going to be able to break that turret in the mid lane. Does delay them just a little bit here.
Freecs want to find a way to recreate tempo. They lost all the control wards they were defending a moment ago when SKT pushed up. Need to shop and get them down again, because no longer can they just have Caitlyn trade up in turrets across the map. Baron respawning in a minute 45. Drake in just about 15 seconds. But they desperately need as much advanced information on the positioning of Wolf especially, and hell, even a teleport ward for the Trundle pillar. And right now, Freecs doesn't have that information.
Playing into the river right now is Afreecs. Vision now going to start pushing forward. Minion wave here to block out the death sentences. Hook comes through. They find Marin, but is that the target that they wanted? Seems like the answer is going to be yes, because he's completely locked up, and the Ren will help take him down yet again as Antara finds the killing blow. Spirit, without his flash, will die as Bang finally finds the kill for himself. And with those two openings, SKT can just push straight down the mid lane.
And when you have a Cassiopeia this big, you can fight front to back as if you have a Caitlyn. Doesn't matter that it's the Kalista, because they're happy to take down the closest target. And consider what Thresh, Syndra, and Caitlyn did while they watched Sejuani and Cho'Gath's health bars disappear. They could do nothing because their front line wasn't actually fighting in range of them. Blitzcrank is removing them from actually being in a position of peel or engage for their carries. Carries do nothing. Carries from SKT are tanky enough and advanced enough with no threat on them to take down the front two members. It's going to be another Drake for free, more map control for free, and Afreecs, their slim chances of advancing are almost extinguished.
Not looking good for these guys. Gold lead growing even larger for SK Telecom. Now a third Drake rather added to the mix, second Cloud Drake for them as we go ahead and get a replay of this.
So how these fights are supposed to work is that Marin and Sejuani with their large models and CC are putting some threat onto Cassiopeia and Kalista. It starts off with Sejuani doing a bit of damage, but Cho'Gath literally dies for free. The carries, they're not even on the screen. OGN can't fit them on the screen without some zoom hacks because they don't have any ability to walk forward, the Syndra and the Caitlyn especially. And it could have been a zero item Caitlyn and it would have been the same fight, sadly, Achilles, because there was no space for Kramer to do damage.
Well, fortunately for Afreecs, the slight reprieve is that the Baron was not available off the back of that fight, so now they have a chance to go ahead and try to defend this, as they already have vision control over the area. It's going to go ahead and gets jumped on by Spirit, who has to hightail it out of there with the Dark Passage.
You gotta love this new comp that we're seeing. The Blitzcrank and Trundle synergy is so weird because you hook someone, put a pillar behind the hook, and then you're denying most chokes from actually being able to defend even a tanky member, because the Trundle pillar lasts so damn long, Achilles, that you're even going to kill a super tank like a Cho'Gath or a Sejuani.
Starting this one up, SKT are nearby. Faker in the top lane. Get called in at a moment's notice as the wards go over the wall. Control ward will deny the vision, but it does draw enough pressure to stop that Baron from being taken, so Afreecs just have to go ahead and split.
Running in different directions while Faker, I continue the analogy, he's playing his own game of basketball, playing single-player League of Legends. Remember him doing this 2 years ago when I joined the LCK on Victor, taking over games. He's doing it now on the Cassiopeia. Look at what Afreecs' vision is. They have no information. This is against a Blitzcrank comp. Hook goes wide, but the next one's likely to hit.
Do go ahead and have to give up this position as the wave is being pushed in to the mid side here by Freecs. They can't go much further than this, near that tier 1 turret.
They have
or
just,
SK Telecom.
This got no information. You know, the waves aren't really giving them information. Bot lane is equalized. The top lane pushing heavily into them. Goro wants to steal the blue, but he can't. He doesn't have the ability to go in that far. In SKT, they can rush down mid. They can reform around the Baron. SKT have a wealth of options.
And it's just a matter of both of these teams going fishing at the moment.
One team's a lot better at fishing. Blitzcrank is the ultimate fisherman. Fizz, apologies, it's all about the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, man, when Thresh fishes, he kind of has to like dive into the water in the end to actually get the fish.
Trying to rush down Baron, but the hook comes in on Sejuani.
Lands in on a Spirit Fate call, is drawn out. They're going to be looking for the catch here onto Tucson, who does go low, drops the box. The Glacial Prison will not really connect. Tucson's still alive, but bang. Right at the last second there with the Pierce will take him down. And now SKT say, screw it, we'll just go straight in for this inhib turn in the top lane.
Yeah, they got a pick that allowed them to ride into a massive minion wave, and Afreecs can't get there fast enough.
Faker trying to cut them off, throws down the miasma to slow them up, and you can see already the Twin Fangs just chunking through that Cho'Gath. No matter how tanky he is, Faker has that much more damage now, looking for the pick. Gonna go wide as they dodge out onto these traps, but that will be the inhibitor line being broken 33.5 minutes by SK Telecom.
First inhibitor of the game, not 3 like we saw around this time in game 1, but somehow it's been so much more comfortable for SKT. Minion wave for Afreecs will push in and likely get this inner turret that Caitlyn worked over earlier, but they go back, multiple members, around 2,000 gold to spend. And Afreecs return to the same problem where, you know, they're pretty confident that the enemy recalled. They're not 100% confident how many members did, and they have so little tempo on the map or wards that all they really can do is say, SKT, come to us, because we don't know where you are.
They're gonna be looking to start this one up. Tars in the bottom lane, has the TP, he's gonna pop it immediately as they try to arrive. Baron going low, halfway dead. Control ward in the pit. Peanut has perfect vision over this one. Comes over the wall and he takes it right out of their grasp. Peanut sealing away the Baron, and now Afreecs desperately are trying to run away, but it seems like they're not going to have the option because Baker has him cornered. He's got him roped in to the blue pit. Comes up with a double kill, getting rid of Kuro, getting rid of Kramer, and it might just be the Ace Spirit. All on his lonesome is desperately trying to trade one back, but Bang says, hell no, rends him for the double kill, and that should be the end of the game.
Afreecs, their 8th game in the wildcard, their 8th loss in a row. Peanut smiles. Smite came in early. There's that cast animation on the feast from the Cho'Gath. Wasn't able to get it in. Peanut has got those steals before. SK Telecom break the hearts of the Afreecs, and they will face Samsung in just a few days' time.
A lot of preparation to be done for that matchup, but for now, SK Telecom can revel and bask in this victory for themselves, taking down Afreecs, their biggest rival in 2017, possibly close to all-time given the record by Afreecs. But they come up with the victory, they advance past the wild card, they are into the full-blown playoffs now.
And now you have to deal with best of 5 SK Telecom T1. Not even the best of 3. Their lowest finish ever in LCK history was this 4th spot. Even their famous spring season last year was 3rd and allowed them to begin in the best of 5 phase. They jump into the best of 3, and in game 2 especially, the firing squad was enabled. Afreecs had nowhere to go. They said, well, we don't know where the enemy is. We'll bring them to Baron. They had the Cho'Gath for the secure, but even that messed up Achilleosin. Honestly, when I saw Peanut behind, I didn't need to know what champions Afreecs had. It just made so much sense that, of course, Peanut would pick up another Baron steal, and then Faker could flash in if we get a replay and just be the one-man firing. So we'll see the replay. The smite is early, but the smite comes in at 2100 HP, and Peanut just happily secures it. Feast never went off from the Cho'Gath, but watch Faker. This is the true firing squad moment. They felt bad when they lost out on the Baron, but this is Faker epically fed in the backline, ripping apart Syndra and Caitlyn. And it was all lost from there for Afreecs.
I mean, Petrifying Gaze be damned, didn't even need it to finish them off, just registers a little bit of damage.
Hey, either that Petrifying Gaze hits, or they're going to be in position for him to just kill them with the Twin Fangs. So yeah. The worst case scenario is stunning people up, running away. The best case scenario is getting them all anyway.
Yep, well, that's exactly what he did. Beautiful stuff by Faker, by SK Telecom, who, you know, a couple games ago, it would be hard to judge whether or not they were back in form. They took down BBQ. KT, sure, they came out on top in that Telecom war, but there still was a bit of shakiness, especially in game number 2, which they did suffer that loss. And Before that, it was Everate that stopped their losing streak. So we had to ask the question, can they get back to where they were at the beginning of the split in spring? And this series seems to say yes.
We couldn't have known, right, Achilles? Especially after the wins over Everate and Rocks. I know I was saying, let's see. They're playing KT next week. The way they played against KT emulated what they were playing against the weaker team, and they did look strong in their victories there. So that was the first thing I think SKT is back. You're right, though. Today is really much more confirmation. Afreecs, they really went the roll the dice method of trying things in Game 1. It didn't work. Game 2 was a lot more conventional, and SKT thrive in conventional as well. And now it feels like SKT have earned their high expectations from the past. It feels like we can talk about the nebulous SK Telecom T1 and not just the team that we've seen perform in the last couple of weeks. MVP could certainly have been Faker, who had a wonderful game.
Yeah.
Peanut got the Baron steal. Peanut was very consistent over the course of this series, and he'll pick up the Game 2 MVP.
Very nicely done by him. So our second MVP of the playoffs so far. Got things started very early. I mean, that was just great coordination between those two. The Miasma directly on top of the Syndra. And
his Gragas spin excellent today. His Zac also notable in previous series. You're right, Peanut had a great series. It still goes through into Gecko. He's not willing to go Cinderhulk Gragas. Cinderhulk is a bit of a dirty word for him, even if the Zac worked out. SK Telecom around Peanut played a smart game, and Spirit started off this one off with a bit of a nightmare, not picking up a jungle item. Didn't end up being punished for it because they got the hook onto Peanut that we decided to not show in his MVP. So picking up an MVP after giving double buffs to a Caitlyn, somehow that worked out for the side of SKT and Peanut. But the team fighting phase, where they had the ability to hook someone, Trundle Pillar, and also cask the rest of the team away. There's so many items on the Caitlyn, but so little impact in the fights because of it.
And I mean, there was a couple botches here from Peanut. The face check getting absolutely annihilated. You already mentioned the hook in the bottom lane, so there was some roughness. But it's those clutch moments that matter the most here for SK Telecom, for Peanut, and that's when they always deliver.
Hey, if I made the decisions, Game 1 MVP would have been Peanut, Game 2 would have been Faker, but the consensus went a different way. Peanut had a great series, even if I don't think he was the best player or best performer in Game 2. But what we can say is that the Afreecs are now eliminated, and SK Telecom are definitely going